Community and storytelling is what makes up good marketing. Let's find out why. Hey guys, welcome to SchlickArtTV. I'm Brian Schlick with SchlickArt, and today we are lucky enough to have Carrie Lujan from the City of Santa Clarita. She is the communications manager for Santa Clarita, and we are very thankful that you decided to join us on our show today.
I am so excited to be here in such a beautiful space. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, thanks for being here. So we're just gonna dive straight in. We'll start with first things first. How did you become the communications manager of the City of Santa Clarita?
That's an excellent first question. So I've always loved writing. I've always loved reading. Math was never my thing, so I knew that I was going to go down more of the reading, writing path. I actually started out in journalism, working as a newspaper reporter, burnt out on that pretty quick, but then I made the transition into TV. I worked for CBS here in Los Angeles, and then I worked as a reporter producer out in Palm Springs, which I absolutely loved. It was a great, storytelling, that's what reporters do every day. And then I made the transition into public relations. I worked for a firm here in Los Angeles, and I was in charge of the television department, which meant I traveled around the country and I was a lifestyle expert. So I talked about like what you should put in your Easter basket, back to school fashion, and I did a lot of what swimsuit fits your body type best.
Very cool.
After doing that for about 7 years, it was fun, but it seemed a little fluffy, and I really wanted to do something that mattered. And I had worked with a lot of public information officers as a reporter, and I knew that was something I was always interested in. I got hired in Santa Monica, and then I had actually worked with Gail Morgan. A lot of people know Gail. Everyone told me big shoes to fill. And so I'd worked with her just as, peers. And she let me know she was retiring, and she's like, you should apply for my job. And we always loved Santa Clarita. Yeah. My husband and I actually looked at a house here right after we got married, and I wish we would have bought it because it would have been such a good investment. But when she let me know that I should apply, I went for it. After a very rigorous and stressful interview process, I was really happy to land this role, and it's been amazing. I've been here for just over 9 years now.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So your kind of path wasn't necessarily started knowing that you were going to be doing communications for a city or a community organization like that, but it kind of led you there. Just the path that you were on led you to the place that you were kind of meant to be, right?
I feel that way. Yeah. I feel like I'm supposed to be here.
We agree. We've been following, and I want to kind of dive into that a little bit more too than what I'm going to say, but like we've been following your guys' social media, the city's social media and things like that for a long time. But I would assume not all of what you do is social media, right? We know you have a weekly or monthly show.
Weekly show on SCVTV.
That's just crazy that you do that. We can only manage monthly here, so they do it weekly. And then I'm sure there's other aspects of it too. So talk to us what communications for the City of Santa Clarita looks like.
Sure. So Santa Clarita does it right, in my opinion, for communications. We have centralized communication, which means everything that goes out from the city, a press release, articles, speaking notes, social media, our Seasons magazine, it comes through my office. And that really maintains the city's brand and allows us to grow the engagement with the community, for them to know what comes out is from the city. And yes, it's a lot of work. Lots of writing articles. Social media is so much fun. You get to follow the trends. You get to put out important information. We do crisis communication. Santa Clarita is no stranger to wildfires. So whenever that happens, we're the ones putting out the information. People know to come to us. So yes, it's a wide range of things, a wide range of ways to tell stories in different mediums that we can use.
Yeah, I love that transition into story, because that's one of the things we love doing here at SchlickArt, right? Is we work with our clients, whether it's photography, marketing, video content, we're constantly trying to tell stories, even our own stories, right? To kind of get people to understand the type of work that we do. So talk to us a little bit about how you guys at the city weave stories into kind of information, right? You guys are putting out information that you want people to know, but you don't just go, hey, next week we have the Cowboy Festival, for instance. You guys actually try to make it engaging and make it fun and make it some sort of story behind it, right?
Absolutely. And to give you an example of a campaign that we did, we saw that there was a big uptick in people stealing things from unlocked cars.
Okay, yeah.
And we wanted to put together a campaign that grabbed people's attention, something that they would remember, but then would change their behavior.
Yeah.
So lock it or lose it was the phrase, but we made it Leoli, which, the acronym, but we made it like a one of those prescription drug commercials, what I'm talking about, where like with all the side effects. So it reminded people to do crazy things like lock their doors and maybe not leave your purse on the seat. But we had fun with it. And that campaign did really well. We actually saw a 37.5% drop in unlocked vehicle crimes after that campaign. But people remembered it just because it was fun and funny. And then it was like, oh, I should lock my door.
So that's super interesting, again, from our perspective, right? Because the strategy behind that, right, is what it takes to kind of create a piece of content like that to make it actually work, right? Is you guys brainstormed an idea that was going to capture people's attention, but that's kind of a uniquely Santa Clarita problem, right? Because so many people have lived in this community for so long, we hear it all the time. Yeah, we never lock our doors, and which is insane from my perspective to think like that. But if you grew up in this community for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it may be, that was the mentality back in the day. So knowing that that was an issue in Santa Clarita, and obviously having the stats from the sheriff's department and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure helps. But to be able to take all that information and think about it in a way that not only is going to attract your ideal client and make it an effective campaign is pretty impressive. Can you talk about how, maybe not that specific example or use that specific example of how that comes together from like behind the scenes, right? Like how you guys sit and think about those ideas as a team and then actually execute it, right?
I have an incredible team. I have to give props to them. And we have such an amazing range of skill sets, from graphic design to videographers to writing, all of it. So when we come together, we'll throw something out there. And I love building ideas on top of ideas. Someone may say something that sparks my imagination. They don't always work. And a lot of times I'll bring it, to the city manager, assistant city manager, and they'll be like, no, we're absolutely not going to do that here. But it's easier to take something grand and kind of distill it down than to try and push and come up with something. And I will say, with AI being part of everything, I do brainstorm with ChatGPT, and a lot of times it comes up with some pretty good ideas for us.
So it's interesting that you talk about your team. We also have a team here too, right? I think kind of the misconception about SchlickArt sometimes is that we're the people that maybe show up to an event and take photos, and that's kind of all we do, or we shoot headshots and that's kind of all we do. Well, the good thing about SchlickArt is we are a small team, but we're very kind of proactive team, and we have very specific roles within our team, right? So yes, we have a photographer, a videographer, a content writer, a social media person, but we also kind of intermingle all those skill sets and work together to kind of make products and services and marketing and strategy for our clients, it's really interesting to see how much our company mirrors what you guys are doing on that same level, on a larger scale, with a larger audience that you have to reach. So we kind of help each other out within our own team, and we all take on multiple roles. Is that a similar experience than what you guys have at the city?
I would say absolutely. I try and make my team be like Navy SEALs. Like we should be able to do anything, like go into an environment, figure out what the situation is, whether that's an event and we're all out there setting up chairs. I am by no means an expert in video editing, but I always kind of have a vision of what I want. And so I do a lot of this, like, oh, I want you to take that shot and make it go in here and then have a screen. And like my guys always look at me and they're like, okay, I see where you're going with that. And I think it's all part of the Santa Clarita community. Like you talk about the city, you talk about SchlickArt. You guys are out there everywhere. You're supporting our nonprofit events. You're taking the beautiful pictures. And that's what makes Santa Clarita so special, is that there's so many different organizations working to show how special it is. And that's all part of the storytelling.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of what keeps us here, wanting to support the communities, the businesses, the nonprofits that we support, right? Is that this is truly a great community. And it does in some ways make your job and our job a little bit easier, that everybody wants to kind of help pitch in and support, right? And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. You can tell me, like when it comes to creating content, you guys know your audience so well that it probably makes your job in that way a little bit easier, right? You know what the community's about.
Absolutely. And I always say that I have like the best product, if you would call the city a product, to sell, because everybody who is here is already invested in it. They want it to be the best place. They chose to raise their families here. It is a safe community. So we're all working together to get to that point. And our city council is amazing in that they keep coming up with new amenities and programs and projects that people want. Like, we're building a roller rink.
Yeah. Yeah. Just phenomenal, right? Like that's a thing that maybe on the surface level or somebody looking from the outside is like, what would we do that for, right? And so like, but it's not a project that just gets greenlit for no reason, right? It's a project because that's feedback you guys received, that's what the community wants, and it's a service that you're writing for, and that allows you to be able to tell phenomenal stories using it, right?
Absolutely. And it also shows how smart the city is in doing these things, because not only is it a roller rink for the people who like roller skating, and there's a big community out there. I don't know if I'm up for trying it, but there's definitely a big community. But it's the rink sports pavilion. So during the day, it's going to be pickleball, fastest growing sport in America, volleyball, basketball. So it's not just open on Friday and Saturday nights like other roller rinks. We're utilizing this for the benefit of the community all week long. And birthday parties there. Even for you, Brian, you could do your birthday party there.
No, I have wrists that I need to use work for, and I will break a wrist, no problem. Like I can't even get on anything with wheels other than a car because I will break a wrist.
Okay. Well, you can just come and enjoy the pizza and the music then.
That sounds better. Yeah. So I love that you mentioned that. Just one example, right? The roller rink becomes not just a roller rink, it becomes a multi-use, purpose-built building, right? Which is interesting because like, I always bring it back to marketing for us, right? So we do the same thing within our marketing, right? We might film a piece of video content, for instance, for a client or for ourselves, that then becomes multiple pieces to solve multiple problems for them, right? So one interview topic might then turn into a blog and a social media post and an email newsletter, right? To kind of hit multiple audiences depending on where that audience is, right? And so that within the business that you're doing, you're kind of creating this multi-purpose use room and facility. It kind of mirrors the way marketing works from our perspective, right? To kind of reach multiple people. So can you talk about maybe some of the other projects that you've worked on that kind of had that kind of multi-purpose feel to them?
Absolutely. I have two great examples I'll share with you. The first is Santa Clarita Voices. It's a podcast hosted by our city manager. And if you have not had a chance to listen to Ken Striplin talk, he knows everything about everything. And it's so interesting to have the opportunity just to see him have a conversation with someone. And he just runs the gamut of topics. He'll talk about homelessness with Bridge to Home in the Sheriff's Department. And then he'll be out at Hart Park with the animals getting kissed by an alpaca. Like, it's so cool to see the different sides of him. And you're absolutely right. We have that in podcast form. But some of the parts that are most successful is when we chop it up for little social media moments. And people love seeing those just like quick little bites. The other one that I want to mention, which I'm so proud of, we launched the Sammy Clarita campaign. Are you familiar with Sammy? Okay, I love this. Back when the city turned 30 in 2017, we're coming up on our 40th anniversary next year. But Sammy was something that came from the idea of, it came from Pokemon. Pokemon was huge at that time. Like, ooh, where are you going to find them? You could see on your little app, like, where they were. We wanted to be able to draw people to different areas of the city, to different amenities by placing Sammy there. So we would place our little Sammy plushie at different city amenities, post it on Instagram, and people would show up like almost immediately. Like, I remember once it was a Friday at City Hall, nothing was happening. I'm like, I'm gonna put a little Sammy down by all of our Seasons magazines. Within 10 minutes, a mom and her little boy ran in shoeless because they were in such a hurry to get Sammy. So that shows how much it resonated with the community, and we have been able to take that idea, and Sammy has been a recycle hero. He announced the opening of the Cube. Currently, he's talking about pet adoptions. So it's this beloved character within the community that we can then, use to transition from topic to topic. And we have a full Sammy mascot costume now. And when we're out at events and people are like, oh, it's Sammy, that brings me so much pride, because it's something that brings them joy that we're able to create and use as a marketing tool.
Yeah, which is phenomenal. I think a lot of times that's what we, in a kind of a subtle way, we try to do with our clients, right? Is we put them in front of the camera to create that personal brand for them, right? Whether that's, again, photography or video, and then using that to write content, is that they then become their own, I don't want to say celebrity, but celebrity in a kind of way, so that to their target audience, right? They're able to like become the kind of trusted resource for the audience that really needs them and does eventually end up trusting them, right? The marketing power behind that is so, so great, which is awesome to see. So sometimes we have unexpected results from what we think is going to be, say, a normal campaign or a normal session for us, right? So I can think of one story in particular where we had a client come in that was just coming in for a headshot. And then when she arrived, she had kind of no idea what we really fully did here, I guess I should say. And she saw different examples of what other people had done and said, oh, that's really cool, I want to do that. And oh, that's really cool, and I really want to do that, which ballooned her session into a bigger session, a more comprehensive session that she wasn't necessarily expecting. Is that something that kind of resonates for you in some of the stuff that you've worked on? Maybe an idea that you guys had as a team that you thought maybe was going to be a small campaign, or was going to be something, a quick thing that you were going to do that became a much bigger thing for the city?
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes me think, we had the River of Lights opening last summer, which is the LED lights that flow down the hillside at Central Park through kind of the main plaza right there. And when we went out to see the lights for the first time while they were testing them, it tells a beautiful story of water. It talks about evaporation, how it goes up in the clouds, and then it comes down again. But it was kind of subtle. Like, it was beautiful, and if you didn't know what you were looking at, it would be kind of beautiful but subtle. Yeah. So we wanted to enhance that moment for the community. We worked with the Santa Clarita Symphony Orchestra. They even composed a song to go with one of the light shows for the River of Lights. We'd never done an event like this before. You know, we have concerts at the park, at Central Park, a few other things, but no idea how many people were going to come out and turn up for this event. So as we're there setting up that day, people brought their chairs, and they were camping out like it was the 4th of July parade for this event. Central Park was packed. There wasn't a parking space there, and we had no idea about how many people were going to come. And it was just such a beautiful evening with the lights and music and kind of incorporating art into what is a normal event. So we're telling the story in that way when we're presenting the event, but it also helps us with media coverage later, because then people are going to have this beautiful picture of the violinist playing with the lights coming down beside them.
So one of our core values at Schlick Art is community, right? Supporting our community, and we do that, like we've kind of mentioned already.
Everywhere.
We'd like to go to a lot of events, yes. Whether we're working at them or not, we'd like to support organizations that are doing good work in the city, including city events that are doing, because you guys are doing good work. But I know outside of your city work, you also sit on nonprofit boards and help nonprofits. Can you talk to us a little bit about not only the organizations that you work with, but why you work with them?
Absolutely. And it's interesting because when I came to Santa Clarita, when I first got my role, I had never been part of a nonprofit board. I had never been in a community where there were so many active nonprofits. Yep. And again, it's part of our organization's culture that staff serve on nonprofits. Okay. Bridge to Home is something close to my heart, and that was the first board that I joined. And I would say I came in probably at, I don't know if it's meaningful or like the coolest time to be part of that organization. Because when I first started, they were in modular trailers in a dirt lot over on Drayton Street. There was not running water, there was not real showers, a real kitchen, any of that. From that time, the facility has transitioned to 3 different locations, and now it is back in a beautiful, brand new transitional shelter that is serving nearly 100 people every single day and night for shelter, but it also is doing Feeding It Forward. So thousands more are coming to get food there. And we were, as a board, we were serving dinner the other night, and one of the clients came up to us and they're like, you know, this city really does it right. We've been to other shelters, and this is like the 4 seasons of homeless shelters. Wow. And I was like, well, that's like such a compliment. So being able to be part of that organization during that time and see it through the groundbreaking to the ribbon cutting, to see the people who are there benefiting from it is so special.
Yeah, that's one of the organizations that we love in this town as well. We not only create video content for them every year, we also are now photographing their gala event. Even before that, we attended that event because we always enjoyed going to it. But yeah, we see the same things. It's a really phenomenal organization that's doing needed work in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's always exciting to see you guys there because your talent and your skill in capturing the moments and capturing the photos. There was one from the most recent Soup for the Soul when my husband got outbid for the, I think it was a chocolate cake that he wanted. And he's like, oh, but just those moments mean so much. I also want to mention, I'm also on the Salvation Army board, which is one of the newer organizations in town. And the challenge is raising the visibility for it. And it goes back to the competitions I was talking to. We have a donut eating competition. And normally it's the sheriff's, fire, and city facing off on that. And who would you think, I mean, we can pick on them. Who would you think would be the ones that would win a donut eating competition?
I'm not going to anger Captain Barclay. I can tell you
fair,
that right now.
Fair. But that's kind of like the given who you would think would win. I am so proud of my city team. We have taken it 2 years in a row eating the most donuts. Yes. So. And again, it goes back to the sense of community. We're creating these moments and these environments for people to come together, support those who are most vulnerable in Santa Clarita, and have a little bit of fun while doing it.
Absolutely. I think that's a phenomenal way to do it. And I love that the city gets involved in those activities, right? Like to have that as a core value as a city is huge, right? Because it speaks to the community aspect of not just living in a city, but also wanting to be a part of it and making it a better place, right?
And that's absolutely something that is ingrained in city employees. And we have such a unique culture in Santa Clarita. And that's one of the things that we're trying to make sure is sustainable over the years as, you know, our city grows, as we have more staff, more city facilities to really still keep that city philosophy going strong.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I'd like to, if you can, maybe do a comparison between maybe your previous experience in another city versus what you see here as far as the experience that you've seen.
So I mentioned I worked in Santa Monica before, and it's an amazing, vibrant, like world-class city. Everybody knows Santa Monica, the pier, the Ferris wheel, everything. All of the employees that worked there could not afford to actually live in the city. So we're creating programs, projects, events for tourists that come in from out of town, for these people who we don't really know because we're not interacting with them regularly. So it's definitely a different mindset than it is working in Santa Clarita, because here we're creating things for our neighbors, for our family, for our friends. It's about the people. We're personally invested in it. The majority of, I would say a big portion of the people I work with grew up here. They went to high school here. A lot of them went to COC, went to CSUN, and then they came back because they care about this community. So you can't replace that. It's about the people, and that's something that's so special about this community.
So before we wrap with our final question, is there any upcoming events that you want to shout out before we let you go?
One of the things that is been such a long time coming, the Hart Mansion is about to reopen. Have you ever been inside?
Absolutely, we have,
Okay, wonderful. It's been closed since COVID. So the city has taken over Hart Park. The county graciously transferred it over to our control, which is an incredible opportunity. So our staff has been in there lovingly, thoroughly archiving, cleaning, making sure everything is ready for the public, because not only is there's art pieces in there, there's history in there, but the whole building itself is essentially an art piece that needs to be cared for and loved. And our library team, our facility team has done an amazing job going in there and getting it ready.
That's great to hear.
Yes, April 10th. April 10th, 10 a.m. is the big day.
So let's think about Santa Clarita in the future. You said next year will be the 40th. Think 40 years beyond that. What do you think Santa Clarita's legacy will be in 40 years?
Well, I hope it continues to be the city that it is today. I think it is such a special place where there's such the community of nonprofits, all the people wanting to help each other, support each other. When there is a tragedy or an incident or a fire here, people really wrap their arms around each other and support those in need. And that's so beautiful. We do it in times of tragedy. We do it in times of fun. We love coming out together. We love a theme. We love an event. There's so much to do here. So many good people looking out for each other. And that's what makes it special in my mind.
I agree. And I believe that Santa Clarita will be that place in 40 years as well as it is now. So we appreciate all the work you do for the city. We love following all your social channels and all the other things that you do. I know it's not just social. So we thank you for being a part of the city and part of our community. And thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me, and back to you. Thanks for everything that you do.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.